Now, at the height of your drug empire, like how much money were you making? Like, and how big was your organization?
I have no idea. I think I did a cover story with Financial Times, Lunch with FT. You familiar with them, right?
Oh yeah, Financial Times, yeah.
Yeah, I did. You know, very few people do Lunch with FT. I was reading an article, not long ago actually, and I did it a while back. They said his net worth was 30 million, you know, at that time, you know. I don't know. I never really thought about it like that, and I don't think anybody in the game thinks about it like that when you're in it. Could have been that, could have been more, and the reason why is because when you getting that kind of money, especially me, I was like, they called me the Bank of Harlem. So, and nobody had a problem in Harlem that they didn't come to me about. I even had guys work for me that was their job, to make sure. So every business people brought to me, I would give them money for the business, and I would make 50% profit. And the same thing I was doing, but I wasn't doing it in Harlem, other places in New York, the boutiques on 60th Street, a lot of them, but I was doing that through other people. So I was like Sherlocking money, but I just, the only difference is they paid interest. But in Harlem, you know, never paid no interest, you know. And even when I did favors where it wasn't business, they never had to pay me back. So I don't know if you can count that kind of money, you know what I mean? I remember going, one time, a guy was saying, well, man, Pee Wee, you gonna get 500 tickets to go see Muhammad Ali? They $500 a piece. I said, yeah, they ain't for me. So, you see what I'm saying? So I just did it, and the whole entourage was able to go to the fight, because they never would have been at the fight no other way. So when you think of them things, you don't really think of them, you just keep doing it. So when you think of things like that, you're not really counting money. You just know in your mind, you think you got more money you're ever gonna need in your entire life, and you're just spending money and having fun and doing, you know, crazy things. I know Harlem never seen that kind of money. I know that for sure, because before me in Harlem, like, look at the hip hop world. They know that about me, because the hip hop world, they study history. So they know Harlem. They know, like, they have books out, Gangsters of Harlem. You see, they know what happened in that era in Harlem. And there was no era in Harlem where young people, there was so many young people that was millionaires. It was crazy. Before that, it was the older guys in Harlem, older gangs, because I'm not proud to say it, but it is what it is. I was that first young person to open up that door. And young people just went through it, and they all were successful. Before that, in Harlem, they rode, Fleetwood, Brougham, or Cadillacs, or Lincoln Continental. And then when that era came, man, we rode Cornish Rolls Royce, Bentleys, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Maseratis. You name it, Stutz Bearcats. Cars that people in Harlem never phantom. You know what I mean? It's crazy. When I was in college, they wouldn't give me a scholarship. You know, when I was in North State, the governor wouldn't let them give me a scholarship because of the type of cars that I would have parked in front of the lunchroom. But, you know, he wouldn't give me a scholarship, so I personally used to go to games in a 600 limousine, Mercedes limousine. And you see what I'm saying? And now it's like 66, 67? So, but it wasn't just me. Guys in Harlem, big home, you'd come to certain clubs and the cars was like triple parked. So Harlem had never seen, like I said, that kind of money, and it wasn't just me, it was just young people. A lot of people can't connect the dots because, see, when I got arrested, it was always me getting arrested. I used to tell them how to not get arrested. So how did I get arrested? I guess, again, the government ain't stupid. They figure out a way to, when the DA say we want them, that's it. You know what I mean? Whatever means they have to go through to get you, they're gonna do it,
Sure. Now you talk about you were kind of the first young person to really blow up.
Not kind of, I was.
Off of drugs in Harlem. Like, how old were you when you really blew up?
No, I was blown up before that. That's what I'm saying to you. You know,
How old though? Like what age?
14
did you really
and 15
pop
years
off?
old. The same age I was robbing jewelry stores. The same age I was selling jewelry, 300,000 ounce, 400,000 ounce. You see what I'm saying? So you take everything out the store in the window. You think, and when I was a kid, I used to study jewelry. I know color stones better than jewelers. So I always knew jewelry. So I knew what was the right jewelry, what was the most of the jewelry that people wear that's just fake, almost close to fake, but it look good. So therefore, and then once you find the connection to sell jewelry, that was like something I did. So me going to the game, it wasn't even me being in the game. It was them, basically people trying to pay me with that because they didn't have the money that they should have paid me for the jewelry. And then they, instead of paying me, they pay somebody else, right? Somebody else got to give me the money. And then that kept happening. So who was really financing all indirectly? Me, right?
Okay. So you started out with the jewelry thing, but then it went into the drug thing later on?
Financing the drug thing, yeah.
So was it cocaine, heroin, both?
Heroin.
Heroin.
That was the drug.
This was before the crack era.
Yeah, sure. It wasn't no crack. Crack is a cheap drug. I mean, crack is, I don't mean to say cheap people use drugs. Crack is an inexpensive drug to get to. Heroin and cocaine was a more expensive drug, and heroin was. Crack would cause the epidemic of crack to start. Crack is actually the only drug that gives you a rush outside of heroin. So that's how the crack epidemic hit so hard. So many, even though it wasn't the same habit, it was the same rush as heroin. So that's why so many legitimate people got caught out there. Businessmen, Wall Street guys, they go somewhere where it's crack at. Next thing you know, they're sitting there, and they don't have the habit like you're on heroin, but they can't leave. They can't leave. They walk in there, they writing checks, sending people to the bank with their cars, everything. They can't leave because it's that kind of habit. Once it's instantly the more, you can't go nowhere. You just want it more, you want it more, you want more. That feeling, but it was that rush. But they got messed up because for years, wealthy people was always using drugs throughout Bel Air, Beverly Hills, California, everywhere. Rich people, they always used, that was their drug of choice, cocaine, It was a sex drug, So now, they always did that, but they always had a lot of money, but they never got hooked because you didn't get hooked. But when crack hit, it was that rush, like heroin, and that's what brought everybody down, from the top to the bottom.
Now, I remember the movie American Gangster, which kind of outlined the whole Frank Lucas story. Now, Frank Lucas was before you?
No, same time.
Same time?
Yeah.
Okay, so did you interact with Frank Lucas during your time?
Yeah, I remember, well, not in Iraq. When you say interact, what do you mean?
I mean,
Oh,
you
any
guys saw
dealings?
each other. Did you guys ever work together? Or
No,
was
no,
it
no,
just
no.
like
He
you
saw
got his
me,
side,
I
you
was
got
up
your
there,
side?
and he was here.
Oh, so you were way bigger than Frank Lucas.
Oh yeah, that's right. And everybody else in the street at that time.
Okay. Now Frank Lucas got all his heroin from, I guess, from Vietnam.
If you
He
want
was
to
shipping
believe.
it in caskets.
That
Like
didn't happen.
where'd all your stuff come
That
from?
didn't happen.
Oh, that didn't happen?
No, it didn't happen.
Because that was all made up.
It's all made up.
Okay. So what was your connect back then?
The same people owed me money for jewelry that I would never tell you if I would go to jail and don't tell the government. I ain't gonna tell you.
Okay.
Frank Lucas wanted to do a movie and wanted to play a game, so he created a game and did a movie. I mean, I'd see him, and I found out something when I was I just found out something when I was out in Vegas just recently. He had one time, my brother snatched some people that was working for him and just took their money. Frank found out about it, and when he found him, I think one of the guys with Frank wasn't going to offer him. Say, this is what we do to people when you put yourself in a position to mess with people that owed us money. And the guy went to me, you know what that is? He said, who? He said, that's Pee-wee's brother. And Frank said, oh, shit, man, I didn't know that, man, And I didn't know that. Look, man, I had a little money, man. Every time you need something, man, they ain't got to do this. Come to me. Because they know that I wasn't the guy to do something like that to not my brother and not no friend and not nobody I knew. You know, I mean, it is what it is. And everything, what I'm saying to you is everybody know I got 100 calls about American Gangster, because you see that incident where, what did they do? I think when they went to the garden in the chinchilla coat, that's something I did. Nobody even knew the chinchilla coat. I was in every business you could imagine, from diamonds, furs, antiques, everything. So being in the fur business, I remember the exact day it happened. I liked that lynx, the belly lynx. I mean, them coats cost $100,000 and $125,000. Then I liked it, but it's too much of a female fur, and I liked the chinchilla. And the guy, the fur, said, "Look, if you know what I could do, I'm gonna make it male. I'm gonna turn the lynx around instead of going this way to make it male." He made it. He made a hat. I said, "Yeah, I like that. And I wore it to the fight. And the evidence of it is, I think, what was it, Jet Magazine? They used to do the fight of the month or something like that. They took a picture of me standing there talking to Diana Ross with the coat on and the hat. And the same people he went to the fight with, which was Marguerite Mays, that was my daughter's godmother, Willie Mays' wife. So a lot of the things that happened, they tried to implement things out of my life and put it into that, you know what I mean? But I mean, I really don't care about that kind of thing, because when my life story is on the big screen, they'll see more of what the truth is. It will never be a tell-all story and you know, ruining people's lives, because, you know, you got people back then in life of crime were judges and lawyers, and some of them on the Supreme Court, you know, but if they didn't get caught, they went on and moved on with their life. So I would never do even my life story. It would be testifying against other people. That's never gonna happen. But it will be real, and when you see it, it'll be a lot realer than an American Gangster. But I got a lot of calls saying, "Man, they doing your life." I said, "No, I'm not doing my life story." First of all, you could never do my life story. Now, I could put the right thing on screen, but I'm never gonna, they've been trying to do my life story, maybe when Frank might have been in junior high school or something, since when I went to Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary, United Press International sent me forms to fill out saying they want to do my life story, and the warden wouldn't let them come and see me, but they said if I fill out the questionnaire, they could create the script from that. And when I looked at the first question, it said, "We understand that your mother, you know, basically, you know, was working hard and didn't have a lot, so you probably did what you could." That was it. I never read the second question, because it's nowhere in the world I'm gonna blame my mother for me being incarcerated. And the guys, Red Dilla, my cell partner, they said, "Pew, you gotta do it, man. You can get out of there." No, you can't get me out of here saying my mother got me in here. So I never filled out. But they've been trying to do my life story since then, but I wouldn't do it. And I wasn't gonna do it, because once you wake up, you know, when you know what it is, you know what it's not. I'm not gonna put something on the big screen to glorify the gangster world. Because once you put on a big screen, like you said, American Gangster, you can never get it back. So they'll see the truth in my life story, but they're gonna see the suffering, they're gonna see the pain, they're gonna see the hurt. They're gonna see what I saw that made me say, I'd rather pluck shit out of a dog's ass with a toothpick than to find myself back in the life of crime, back into selling drugs. You see what I'm saying? That's, again, that 100-year illusion that keeps destroying so many people's lives.
I mean, when you talk about heroin, I mean, number one, you talk about what seems to be like the most serious drug out there.
It is.
In terms of really,
in terms of using drugs,
affecting people's lives and their health and so forth. And you also talk about a level of violence that you don't see in other drugs, like, you know, weed or ecstasy or whatever else. What do you think was some of the most serious situations that you got into during that time?
Well, you know, what's crazy is it's almost like the serious situations that I was into when the people with the script talk to people, I don't, you know, they'll see them, but I think you don't ride around Harlem having shootouts with the police in broad daylight with everybody looking and people getting shot up in 15 and 20 blocks. You can't do that in Harlem and people don't see it. You can't do that in Harlem and people don't talk about it. You see what I'm saying? So you can't fake that. You can say what you want to, but the difference in Wee Kirkland's life and a lot of these guys' life that's talking and running their mouth, normally I don't say nothing, but they saw it and they say it. And I'm only who I am because They said, not I said. They saw it. They made me who I was. I didn't make me who I was. I never wanted to be no gangster. The last thing I wanted to do in my life was to be a damn gangster. I wanted to be the greatest point guard ever played the game. I became that because I came in an era where I would give my life because I somebody I demanded respect. So you had to take my life to disrespect me. And that led to other things. And like I said, a lot of incidents where other people, I just give you an idea of an incident. Guy out of Brooklyn, he basically, guy in Harlem owed him $300,000. Basically took it. He come to me, Pee Wee, man, I don't know. I just come to you, man, because maybe you get him to pay it back. And I said, where's he at? Cross Street. I mean, in the movie to come out who he is, because his name was bigger than mine, for mine got bigger than his. But I said, when you gonna pay him? He said, I'm gonna pay him, P. I said, when? He said, I'm gonna get it to my next week. I said, all right, you got it. You paid him. Nobody can make somebody pay $300,000 like that unless people see you as a legitimate force. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, them things will come out, but people know them. But and that's why in the movie setting it's okay, because then you see the other side. You see the pain, you see the hurt, you see the turnaround. But sometimes you don't want to talk, you got to be careful talking about it, because guess what? You know these young kids in hip hop? Yeah. That I talk to, I turn their lives around. All I deal with, I travel all over the country, I deal with youngsters that's shooters. And what makes me so effective at turning their life around and making them see their life is looking at my life. Because most of them want to be the boss. They want to be the modern day Wee Kirkland. They want to run the game. They want to be a shooter. They want that reputation. You see what I'm saying? And when I make them understand their value, then that's when things turn around. Because unless you value your life, why would you value my life? You know how easy it is for me to take your life if I don't value my own life? But so I make them understand their value, their life. I make them understand, that this ain't the only thing. This ain't the only way. It's other ways, your potential. We look at hip hop and we love hip hop. And hip hop is a good thing. The best thing happened to the generation. But it's a side of hip hop that a lot of young people keep taking advantage of and abusing and trying to connect it with the life of crime, connect it with the drug game, connect it with the word gangster. I mean, and some of them live that life, and God bless them. I'm gonna be there for every kid, because I don't think there's no child in the world whose life can't be turned around, because mine was. You got guys I know in prison, youngster Guy Fisher, never met him in person in my life, doing a double life sentence. Supreme out of Long Island, in prison. You understand what I'm saying? Probably never gonna get out. Those guys are no different than a Wee Kirkland, and they came later. But all I'm saying to you is the government will lock them down. They'll never see the street as long as they live. You know how many people's lives I've turned around? Thousands. I write things in a magazine, like the magazine, did the cover Fed magazine. The drug game is over. Can't nobody say that back then with me. Anybody else would say, man, tell that. But if I say it, then people know it's almost like the Bible. They accept it. You know how many people's lives that turned around? That magazine costs, in New York City, that magazine at the stand, what it costs?
$5.
And guess what they was selling for in Vegas? $100. You see what I'm saying? And guess what in prison happened? Guys was fighting over it, arguing over it. Man, you got to read that. Man, I'm telling you, man, it's crazy. I was on the subway maybe about 18 months ago, and the guy walked to me and said, man, P, you wouldn't believe this, man. I'm sorry my wife ain't here. She probably cried. I said, why? He said, man, I was in prison. I read that Fed magazine. He said, man, I called my wife. I said, I'm finished with the game. She said, what do you mean? She said, you've been going back like this, and you going to tell me you read a magazine some guy wrote you don't even know, and you finished with the game? He said, that's been 7 years, Pee Wee, and I've been home with my kid, with her. She saw you right now, Pee Wee, she would cry. You see what I'm saying? It happens all the time. Ludacris, you know the rapper Ludacris? One time I saw him, you know what Ludacris told me? He said, Pee Wee, let me tell you something. He was on the radio. I'm in Atlanta, and it was at a basketball game. I walked by, he took the earphones off. He said, Pee Wee, let me tell you something. When I read that Fed magazine, it turned my entire life around, man. I'm telling you, P, and he gave me a hug. So all I'm saying, people can go ask Ludacris what I'm saying. People know I don't say things ain't true. You see what I'm saying? So all I'm saying to you is, that's that power. That's that mission. That's what I didn't know my life was about. I'm the happiest person you ever met in your entire life from doing what I do. Because most people can't talk to the people I'm around. And every time I deal with these kids, and every time I get between stopping this kid from shooting this kid, I'm putting my life on the line. Because these kids are real about handling their business. And people know that. The hip hop world know that. I'm not on the hip hop wars or BET. I'm not there. I'm not up there. That's their time. They belong there. I want to be where I'm at. You see what I'm saying? I want to be doing exactly what I do. Was doing it in Vegas. Was doing it in California. Been all over the world. Travel all through. You know about it. Because when you read, if I'm on social media, I'm never on social media. So only thing could ever be about Wee Kirkland on social media is what people say. So they got me. You see what I'm saying? Because they know the reality.
But I wish he'd stop.
I like Meek Mill, man. Like I'm not gonna.
I wish he'd stop. Listen, I liked Meek Mill, but all of this shit is making you look bad, homie.
Saying he used to want to be signed to Rockefeller, but then he turned into Jay.
Oh yeah.
I understand what he's saying, but you got to understand how that could be took.
Yeah, you're taking a shot at Jay-Z.
I mean, you could be taking a light shot at Jay.
You're taking a shot at Jay-Z.
And hip hop be like, nah, bro, you ain't Jay.
Yeah.
You're Drake, which is fine.